Well, let's go back to our top story this morning, where political analyst Professor Sethulego Matebesi has penned an opinion piece entitled "The Nkandla Drama: From Tea Parties to Threats to Constitutionalism." Now, in this, he chronicles and puts a microscope on the recent legal and political developments surrounding the former president, Jacob Zuma. What a pleasure it is to welcome to the show the good professor. He joins us this morning to unpack this. Prof, good morning to you, Prof Matebesi. Let's talk about just part of your article. A theatre script that has gone horribly wrong. Good morning. What do you mean by that?
Hi, good morning, Edwards, and good morning to South Africans. It's definitely a script that has gone horribly wrong, not only for the principal or the main character, which is the former president Jacob Zuma, but also those who have been supporting him. I think we knew there were evidence even way before President Zuma ascended to the power of the ANC and of being the president of the country, that there was a lot of issues around his background. And what they're now trying to push, it's once again the apartheid ticket, where they try to make comparisons between how apartheid or the former leaders were treated by the then government, and they want to now obviously compare that with the current democratic dispensation. I don't think that would hold. Your normal layman, typical South Africans, no longer buy such stories because at the end of the day, yes, apartheid was horrible, but we can't even try to equate what we're currently experiencing in South Africa, the democracy that we are enjoying, with what happened in the past. And I think that, for me, it's where the script actually went horribly wrong. And also, the script has been misdirected. If you look at the theme of this script, I think it had to do a lot with the anger of the outcome of the Nasrec elective conference of the African National Congress. And they're now misplacing that anger, misdirecting that anger towards our constitutional democracy and our judiciary.
I'd like to talk to you about a second part of your article in a moment, your opinion piece, Prof Matebesi. But before I speak to you about this acid test, I think you call it the acid test of our judiciary and our democratic institutions, just tell me about your thoughts on how the former president, who would have at the time been sworn in to uphold the Constitution, by virtue of that uphold the Constitutional Court, the highest in the land, and how he and it seems some of his supporters are now treating what the Apex Court has judged against him. We'll talk about your article again in a moment. What do you make of the way the former president is going about this?
Well, if the environment is conducive, then obviously people will act in a certain way. To a certain extent, we are a failed state. A state which cannot look after its citizens is definitely a failed state. And I may be taken on that one. Because if you look at how people have to secure themselves, I mean, it's an indicator. And it's the same tactic that the former president is using. He has been getting away with all these shenanigans all along, and he strongly believes that he is untouchable, because sometimes you start to believe in even the power that you no longer possess. And I think that comes from during his tenure as a president, where he will make decisions without the collective. And now suddenly he can't understand why is he being questioned. But definitely, I think legally, I'm not a legal guru, but I think he has mastered with his legal team the art of staying out of trouble. But sooner than later, something would have to give him. And unfortunately, he can't now use age, because he's been trying to run away from many cases. And now it's about time where he had to face, unfortunately, and I think it's a consequence of all these delaying tactics, because I think he had an opportunity to get out of this, and that was to be submissive, to respect our courts of law.
And I think that's why, Prof, we've seen the word recalcitrant being used so often. It was something I had to go and Google. Obviously, I've seen the word quite a lot. I don't want to assume that I know what it means, so I Googled it. For those at home, the definition of recalcitrant, or the definition I have here, is an uncooperative attitude towards authority or discipline, which is exactly, Prof, what you were just talking about. Prof, I have about 30 seconds, and I know this is unfair to throw this last question to you with just 30 seconds to go. Just sum up this acid test for me in your opinion piece and what it means for our democratic institutions. 30 seconds is all yours.
Yes, we should know there has been the so-called third wave of democratization in Africa, and in any constitutional democracy, the judiciary is very central to uphold your constitutional values and principles. And I think to a certain extent, they have come to the fore to defend our constitutional democracy. Thumbs up to our judiciary. They did not cower when there was political pressure.
And I appreciate your time in speaking to us. A very, very interesting opinion piece as well from political analyst and Free State University senior lecturer of the sociology department head as well. Always good to speak to Professor Sethulego Matebesi here on eNCA.